Hi everyone, thanks for joining me for Coffee and Card at Home. So normally I run this as a Facebook Live on a Monday evening, and for some reason Facebook isn't responding this evening, so I've just decided to record it and then I'll post it directly to my YouTube channel instead. So hopefully if you are catching up with it today, this is week 1 that you're watching of our new month of Coffee and Card, and this month's stamp set is Happy Holidays. So this has some really nice Christmas sentiments and the lovely robin and holly, which we're going to be using today, and then it coordinates with the holly border punch, which we're going to be using today as well. So I'm just going to pop those to the side for a second, grab the bits that we need to get going, and I'll just find where they've disappeared to. So this is the card that we're making today. I've got a couple of slight variations because it depends on the DSP that you're using, but they work on the same basis that they have a bit of DSP as the background, this lovely cutout border with the holly, and then when you open them up you'll see there's another bit of the DSP just behind, so that when you close it you can see it through as well. So I'm just going to put those to the side so we can get ready to make that card. And you're going to need a card base which is C6 size. So that's half of an A4 sheet cut at 14.8 centimeters, and then we've scored at 10.5 centimeters. Then you've got some 6x6 DSP that I've cut. This is actually a retired one from last year, but really Christmassy, really lovely. So this is the size of the card, 14.8 going this way, and then this way is 7 centimeters, and then this piece is the same, 14.8, and then this depth is 3.5 centimeters. So that's what you need to cut out in advance if you haven't already. Then you need a strip just for your sentiment to go on, and then we've got just a scrap here that we're going to be stamping our robin and holly onto. So first of all, what we'll do is we'll get our card base sorted. So I'm just going to fold that in half and then burnish my fold with my bone folder, and then I'm using the holly punch, which the border punches are really great because they have this bit at the side which helps you to position it exactly in the right place. So what we're going to do first of all is we're going to pop that in the middle, and I'm just going to punch down. You'll end up with lots of bits and bobs. What we do want to hang on to though is these little holly leaves, the ones that have come out whole really. The bigger ones, because we're going to use those next week, so hold on to those, don't throw those away. The other bits though can go in the bin. And then what we have to do is we have to line up this image with the punch here. So when we put it down, you'll see then if we line up this side exactly there, then it will punch out the other side. So hold it steady and punch down. There we go. And we need to do another little bit there. So again, hang on to those holly leaves for next time. And just going to line that up. I think that's already gone through, so I think we might need to line it up there. That's right. There we go. Just get rid of those bits. You end up with all those kind of confetti bits left over. Then on this side, yeah, again, line up there. Actually catching the whole bit this time. And we've got a little bit left over here. It depends whereabouts you position your holly as to how many times you have to punch. So let's move that over to there. Oh, I think maybe move it over one more time. There we go, that just punches out the end piece there. So I've gone all the way across, which means I've ended up with part of a holly leaf cut out. But you could have done it so that you just sort of stop there if you wanted to. It's up to you, really. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to get our DSP stuck on straight away. Now, you could decide to use that side if you wanted to, but I think I'm going to go with that one because I like the fact it's got a bit of green in it to coordinate with the card. I'm just going to stick some Tombow on there. And then that's going to sit at the top of the card. And it's going to line up exactly with the top where the fold is, and then your small piece is going to go on the inside of your card. And we're going to stick that on just at the bottom, lining up there. There we go. So that bit's done for now. You see when we open up, you've got that bit there. Just going to pop that to the side, and now we're going to do some stamping with our sentiment and our images. So I'm going to do my sentiment first. I'm just using Cherry Cobbler. That's my ink, and we're using Happy Christmas from here. Keeping it nice and simple. I'm just going to stick that on there. And I'm going to leave it for now as it is, and then I'll trim it when I'm ready to stick it down in a minute. And then we're just going to use black Memento ink to stamp the holly and robin. So I'm going to do a couple of the sprigs of holly. And then the bird. Okay, so our next bit is we're ready to do our colouring in now. So I'm using my light and dark of my stamping blends. I'm going to start with the light, which is Cherry Cobbler, to colour in my robin. So there's a variety of ways with using blends. Some people prefer to start with the dark and add the light. Some people like to start light and add dark. think there's a variety of ways you can do it, and it kind of comes down to personal preference on what you feel works best. But I often feel that I quite like to get my lighter shade on first, then go in with my dark, and then if I feel it's not blended in enough, I'll go back with my light again. Just keep building up the colour till I'm happy with it. And the nice thing about these stamps is that they've got the shading kind of put in there for you, so it helps you to know where you should kind of be adding in a bit of darker colour. So I'll come back to that in a second. I'm going to do the same with the leaves. I'm going to start with a lighter version first, and this is Mossy Meadow. So when I get my first layer of colour down, I'm not really being particularly neat with it, but just sort of getting some colour on. First of all, and then you can sort of take your time a bit more when you start doing the blending. So this card is going to take you a little bit of time. I was talking with the ladies that did it this morning, and we kind of thought that it would be a nice one to kind of churn out a few of the same, but you probably wouldn't want to be spending a long time colouring in an image. So if you could find an image that didn't need quite so much colouring in, or could be stamped with the inks, then that might be quicker. And also we have a bit of fussy cutting to do in a minute, so we also decided that one that had a punch maybe would be a bit quicker as well. So I've just put some of the dark Smoky Slate on the beak and the legs and feet. And then this is myself, dark crumb cake. I'm just getting on sort of a base colour here. So I decided not to use the light crumb cake here. Just go straight in with the dark, but I'm layering it up with a dark colour and using bronze for the blending. So I'm just going to add a bit of colour here around again the bits of shading, a little bit on the tail. And I just realised I hadn't done my blending on the holly, so I'm going in back in with the dark Mossy Meadow. Go, and now this is where I'm going to try and blend my colours a bit better. So I'm going to go back to my light cherry cobbler and just now try and blend it in a little bit more with the darker red there. And then same with my brown on the bird. So I'm just going to go back with my crumb cake. Okay, and if you think you've gone too far the other way, then obviously go back in with the colour. You want to add in. So it really is a bit of a sort of trial and error sometimes with seeing how much ink you need to apply to blend these colours in a bit better, but and eventually you have to stop. You can't be fiddling around with it forever, but obviously you work on it until you're happy with it. So the next thing we need to do now is a little bit of fussy cutting, because unfortunately we don't have any dies with this stamp set. So you do need to be a little bit patient. You need obviously a good set of nice sharp scissors, which of course these are my paper snips by Stampin' Up, which are super sharp. I can vouch for that because I have nearly cut myself a few times on them. And the key to remember is to try to rotate your card opposed to your scissors, and then it stops you having kind of jagged edge. And I know holly is not the easiest thing to cut out. And I'm just leaving a very small sort of white border around the holly, which is how our dies or our punches cut images out. They do leave a very small white edge around it. So just a little bit of patience required while you're doing this, and a bit of concentration. And of course you could do more holly if you want to, or less. One sprig of holly would probably also look fine if you didn't want to spend too long colouring and cutting out. Nearly there. The holly is harder than the bird, so good to get this one undone and out of the way first, I think. There we go, and then the bird. Done the hardest part, and now on the nice easy part to finish off. There we go, so we got there in the end. So I'm just going to bring back my card now. And we're just going to arrange some bits on there just to see where we'd like things to go. So see, I've got my sentiment to fit in. So I think I'm just going to trim off the end of that. I'm just going to stick that along here just with some glue rather than with dimensionals on that one. And then I'm going to use some dimensionals just to mount the other bits. So just one in the centre of the holly. Pop that on there. And then another one in the centre of that holly. Sort of slightly overlap them if you can. And then just a few on the back of the bird. And then that's going to sit on there just behind my holly. And that is finished. So if I bring back the other ones, it's interesting some of my differences with my colouring as well. I think when you compare them next to each other, it shows you how much blending you have done or you haven't done and so on. So it's quite interesting to see actually. But there we go. So that is our first card for our new month of Coffee and Card. Just a quick recap. So we've used a garden green card base, which was half an A4 sheet, cut at 14.8 centimetres and then scored in half at 10.5 centimetres. We've used a piece of DSP, which measures 14.8 going across and then 7 centimetres for this first piece. And then for the second piece underneath, that is also 14.8 but 3.5 this way. Then a small strip of card for the sentiment there, and then our images have been stamped on to another piece of card, and then we fussy cut those out. And then inks I've used are the Happy Christmas is in Cherry Cobbler, and then for colouring I've used Stampin' Blends. I've used light and dark Cherry Cobbler, dark Crumb Cake and Bronze, and then light and dark Mossy Meadow, and dark Smoky Slate for the beak and the legs. And that is it. And then just as a recap, the stamp set we've used is the Happy Holidays, and to get our lovely holly border, we've used the holly border punch to do that. So I hope you'll have a go at that yourself. If you need any help with anything or any supplies, please just drop me a message and I will do my best to help you. And then I shall see you next week at 8:30 on Monday evening, hopefully on Facebook, for week 2. Thanks. Take care. See you soon. Bye.